I know what you're all saying this morning. Colin, if Penn State wins the Big Ten championship and doesn't get in, Colin, conference championships don't mean anything. That is not what that's saying. What that is saying is conference championships don't mean everything, nor should they. Don't tell me conference championships don't mean anything, because Washington will get in if they win theirs, and Alabama will get in if they win theirs, and Clemson will get in only if they win theirs. Don't tell me conference championships don't mean anything. 3 of the 4 teams that will get in need to win their game in the conference championship to get in. But they should not mean everything, and there's a big difference. Conference championship should not be an automatic qualifier, because college schedules are wildly uneven. You can get to a conference championship and not have to play the 2 other best teams in your conference. Remember how college scheduling works. For instance, next year, USC doesn't even play Washington. And if you look at returning starters, those will be the 2 best teams in the conference. So sometimes, not just occasionally, but regularly, college schedules are wildly uneven. You have 15, 16 teams in your conference, you only play half. What if I have to play the tougher half? You get a bunch of meatballs. I'm not a big believer in life, sports, business with automatic qualifiers. If my kids get good grades, they get a trip to Hawaii. Well, what if your kids do get good grades, but one of them you discover is an arsonist? Still taking them to Maui? Don't create automatic qualifiers. Don't pin yourself in. Don't marginalize yourself. This is not saying if Penn State wins, conference championships don't mean anything. It's saying they don't mean everything. I watched Penn State play Michigan and not compete physically. Rout. I watched Penn State lose to Pitt. I watched Penn State get controlled by Ohio State for 2.5 hours before the Buckeyes special teams on the road faltered. I also watched Ohio State beat Michigan and Ohio State crush Oklahoma. So I have no problem, and I think Penn State's a nice team. I have no problem with Ohio State, which got on the phone and dialed up Oklahoma on the road and crushed them. I have no problem, and beat a really good Michigan team. I've got no problem with their only loss being on the road to Penn State narrowly, and they get in. I don't believe in these automatic qualifiers. This is what college basketball does, and you end up with 14 Coastal Carolinas in the tournament. Watch the games, line up the numbers, look at the stats, look at the schedules. If Ohio State played Penn State today, we called Vegas, they would be favored on a neutral field. Conference championships should not be the be-all, end-all. They should be under consideration. But remember, we have committees here. Why do we create committees, Kristine? So they can make tough decisions. If you're just going to have all these automatic qualifiers, you don't need a committee. You just check a bunch of boxes, check, 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 you're in. Committees are created to make tough decisions. It's why you have a city council in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, and Dallas. You have a city council so they can get hate mail. You have a city council so they can disagree. You have a city council so they can get elected or voted in and out. They're there to make the tough decisions, not the easy ones. And a committee can look at Penn State and Ohio State, and I think they're both good teams, and I think they're reasonably close. But I'm not going to be paralyzed by Ohio State not getting into their conference championship, nor have I ever. Hell, if it's up to me, I'd put USC in the playoff, because I think outside of Alabama, they're the best team in college football right now. I really believe that. If you're asking me who I'd put in, I'd put Alabama, USC, Ohio State, and Michigan. But we're going to get Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Washington, and that's fine too.